aka Jimbo Pickleball. Speaking with my good friend Frank Solano. He is the director of tennis and pickleball at Club Frederico on St. Simon's Island and a professional pickleball player on the tour. So, Frank, welcome.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So, a couple questions. Obviously, I sent them to you, but the first one is India. Tell us about how it was.
Dude, what an incredible experience, man. It was like they treated us like royalty, man. It was so fun. We got a really good hotel, transportation. I had a guy that, the first guy that I met when I arrived, he picked me up from the airport and we became really good friends. So anything I needed, I would text him. Bottled water over there was like a commodity, man, because like that's all we can drink.
Mm-hmm.
So once they put them out, like all the players like just grabbed them. So it was really hard to like get bottled water. So I would text this guy, he would get the water for me. I felt like a celebrity, man. It was just so
Yeah.
cool to have them, pickleball is not as they haven't caught up to the level that we are here. So they felt like I was a rock star. So it really made me feel special. So it was a great experience.
And so, how did this all come about? I mean, going to India.
So they told me to apply for this draft. This was in November. I was like, you know what? I'll apply for the draft. I don't know. There's so many good players out there. I don't know if I'm gonna get picked. And then a month later, they sent me an email with a contract saying that I got picked to be a team captain. So you know me, man. I'm really good at these team events. Like
Yeah,
that's my jam. Like I love being like, a good teammate, a good supporter. So once they draft me in this team, they put me together with a group chat with all my teammates, and I started like getting to know them. And it was like through WhatsApp. So it was like very like in the other side of the world, but I still wanted to like get to know them before I even get there. So I kind of got to know everybody, and by the time we kind of met in real world, it was kind of like we already knew each other. We follow each other in social media, so it was really cool that that they were able to kind of connect us and put us on a group chat. By the time we get to the competition, I kind of already knew them, and
yeah,
one of the guys that's on my team, he's been my rival for like 2 years, man. So he's out of Jacksonville, and we always play against each other. He actually beat me in the final at the Rowdy League, and he's the guy that kind of just in the last year became like a stud, and he just he didn't lose a match. He beat me like 3 times in the Rowdy League, and it was fun because I always got to play against him. And so now we were able to kind of be teammates, and we were both in the same team, and
that's
kind of got
awesome.
got to know him, spend the whole week with him, and just kind of like it was just fun just to get to know him. Just because when you're in the rival, you're playing against somebody, you always kind of want to beat them, and like you don't know their personal life and everything. So it was really
Right.
cool to kind of go to dinner with him, talk strategy, be in a lot of pressure moments, situations with him. So it was really cool that, that
Cool.
I got to be a teammate of one of the guys from Jacksonville. His name is Toby Moreno.
Tobin. Okay, cool. So let's switch gears a little bit. We can come back to India. Tell us a little bit about the Luna brand. How did that Luna thing all start?
Yeah, man, it was weird, man, because like I never planned to do this. It was just kind of like a couple years ago, one of my sponsors was from a pickleball.
Right.
And they said, Frank, is it okay if we send you like 12 the top 12 paddles in the market right now, and you just play with it and do a review? And I was just, I had a contract with Selkirk, and I was sponsored by Selkirk for a couple of years, but for some reason like they wanted me to do hats and clothing, and it didn't work out. So I was like, I said I couldn't do it because I already had a contract with Lotto. I have a contract. I use melon hats, so I didn't want to lose all my my image. And I didn't want to be all Selkirk. So I was like, if you don't want me to just use the paddle, I'm done. So I terminated. I didn't resign with Selkirk, and I was in the middle of just kind of like trying all these paddles out. So I did all the paddles from all the top ones, like Selkirk, Carbon, all of them, you know, um, all the top 12 paddles in the market at that point. It was probably about 2 years ago. It was two
Right.
years ago. So I just kind of like, dude, I like some about this one. I like something about this one. And I was just like, man, this is something that I could actually like put together, something that I really like. And at that time, I was playing with a really like hot paddle, which was a Selkirk 003, and it was very powerful. So I was getting good singles results, but my doubles game was crap, man. Like I could not reset the ball. Like it was just everything was just so hard that I didn't
Hmm.
have any soft game. So I was like, if I want to get better at doubles, I need to change my equipment. So it took me a year to develop my paddle. This is my baby.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it took me a year to develop it. I got a business partner, and we came up with this paddle, man. And to me, uh, what's very important, it's not so much power, but how gritty it is. So it's kind of like in tennis having a good set of strings. If you don't have a good
Mhm.
set of string, your racket might be worthless, man. So you really need to have something that's gonna grip the ball so you can have all the top spin shots, all the drives, the speed ups at the kitchen line. So I was willing to commit to like four paddles because I wanted to have the greediest paddle in the market. So I didn't care how much it was going to cost. I was willing to go. I told the manufacturer, send me four paddles that are like really close to the edge. So by the time I had the USA Pickleball tested, um, I wanted to be pushing the limit, but not obviously not. I wanted to pass. So the first paddle that I sent, the USA Pickleball like tested out is that it can come off the paddle greater than 30. So my first one came at 29.9. So I was like, dude, I got so lucky because like every time you test one, it's 2 grand. So I was willing to spend 8 grand just on the testing side of it, just because I just wanted to have the grittiest paddle. That's all I care for. I wanted to have that in the marketing stuff. And so once I got that and I started playing with it, it was like, dude, this is awesome. So I mean, I know you've tested it, and I know a lot of people have tested it. We came out with it on February 15th of last year.
So it's
So
your 1 year anniversary.
so this is a 1 year anniversary, man, and now it's so fun because like now not only do people love it, they send me pictures. They send me pictures from all over the country, and it's very rewarding just because like I started out with nobody. Like I played with
Yeah.
it probably for like six months by myself. Like I was the only one that was playing with it. I didn't want to sell a bad product. So once I knew that the paddle kind of hold on and like wasn't falling apart, then we started selling it. So yeah, so now right now we're working on a little more powerful paddle just to compete with all the yolas. but
Hmm.
uh but I still want to have the grittiest paddle in the market just because I want pros like a powerful paddle, don't get me wrong, but I want it to be also a gritty paddle. And
Right. Right.
yeah,
Well,
so
tell us about the name. How did the name come about?
yeah, so it's cool because when all this happening, it was in the middle of when my daughter was being born. So it was like at the same time. It was 2023. I had the idea of just. I mean, I didn't know it was gonna get this big, man. I was just kind of just in between paddles, and so my daughter was born Emery Luna. So her name is Emery Luna Solana, which I don't know if you know, but Solana in Spanish means sun.
Right.
So I named Emery to be the Luna, which means moon. So it'll be the
Moon.
moon, the sun and the moon. And I named the paddle after her, just because like
Yeah.
they're my two babies, my daughter and my paddle.
Yeah. It couldn't be any cuter. That little paddle
Thank
you
you.
have for
Yeah,
her is
it's
so
pretty
cute.
cool. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
All right. So talk about your camps now. Now all of a sudden there's Luna Pickleball camps, which I'm proud to be a part of with you. But
Yeah.
tell us about them.
Well, man, it was so fun, man, because I know it was your idea, man. It was cool because you could, like, last year I did camps, right? So I had camps that were very successful, and we had 2 day camps, and where people were like, really into them. And I started saying, man, like, they're getting a lot out of, being with me for 2 days. So I was like, let's just, I remember we had a conversation at the beginning of the year. You was like, Frank, why didn't you just package it? And I was like, you know what? You're totally right. So what I did is that I came up with the lunacamps.com, and we're doing a giveaway with a paddle where we just do every camper that signs up for 2 days, will get a Luna paddle. I know some people that are very like they hold on to their own paddles. I wanted to have another choice where if you don't want a paddle, you'll get a video review. So we're doing where you sign up for the camps, you get a $200 paddle with it, or you get a $150 video review, which has been, very popular. A lot of people have been asking me about doing video reviews, and suddenly I was like, okay, this time we're gonna have to do it. So I talked to Gage, my social media guy, and he's helping me how to. I'm not very technological, man. It takes me forever to just kind of change the setting to, to the iPhone. So he helps me out with that. So, and we have had very successful, video analysis where we just review their games,
Right.
and we just say, okay, you should have done this here. So it's kind of like having your own personal coach, you in a game. And I'm
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there, hey, I would have not done this. I would have done this decision. Just basically like what a pro would have done in that particular, particular. Because I mean, pickleball is all about not making silly errors, as you know, man. If you're able to kind of cut down those errors and strike when the ball is high and strike when it's hot, then yeah, you can get. You're gonna make mistakes. I'm a pro. I make mistakes, but learning when is the right time to go for the shots,
Right.
and because most of these guys, man, they're trying to tee off on it on their shoelace, and
Yeah.
it's a dumb mistake. And when you tell them and you see them, they see them on their video, then if their partner tells them, they're not gonna do it. But if somebody like that's a pro that knows what they're doing, they tell them, then they learn. So
Yeah.
that's what we've been doing. Yeah. So I'm thanks to you that that the whole pickleball camps kind of started. And I know you're gonna be helping me out with some, so I'm really
Good.
appreciative that you're a really good coach, and I really think highly of you. So for you to be on part of my team, it's awesome.
That's fantastic. So how many do you have scheduled this year? And where are they? Do you have some out of country yet?
Yeah, so the first 6 months I am all booked up already. So
Right. Wow.
yeah, so it's been pretty fun, man, because like I did one last month here in St. Simons. In March, I'm gonna be doing one here in St. Simons as well. I'm gonna go to Atlanta to the Marcus the Marcus Jewish Community Center there.
Correct. Yep.
Uh, then I got one in Jacksonville. I got one in Mexico. So we're doing one in Mexico in Cabo. So it's been pretty cool, man, because like now this sport is going international.
Yeah.
So when I first started, man, I had no idea that this was gonna happen. Like me going to India, me going to other countries to do pickleball. It's since they're a little behind, they're treating me like I'm Roger Federer, man. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's amazing to think of where pickleball was just a few years ago and where it is today and how it's
It,
just
it's
exploded.
amazing, man. And I know you and I were one of the first ones to really like grab it and just
Hmm.
kind of learn the shots. Because when I started, man, like all my tennis peers were making fun of me, man. They were all like, "Why are you doing that? You're wasting your time." And it's something that I was doing just because I wanted to get better at. I never thought I was gonna get to play against Ben Johnson. I never thought I didn't even know who those guys were
Yeah.
when I started. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it was just kind of like I wanted to get better. And
But here's the cool part. What would have been your chances to play against Roger Federer versus Ben Johns? I mean, pickleball exposes you to the top players even when you're first getting started.
exactly, man. I mean, think about it. Yeah, like there's no way I'm gonna be able to be competitive with Novak Djokovic.
No.
So it's like, but now with pickleball, I have some skills that I've learned because I've getting my butt kicked and just kind of like, because it did take me some time, man. I'm not gonna lie. It just, I was very arrogant about the sport at first because I didn't want to get into it. I was just like, nah, I'm not. I'm a tennis guy. I'm not gonna play. But once you start playing at a high level, man, it's really, really fun because you realize that you need to have certain skills. So, just for me to be feeling like a beginner, because I felt like a beginner. Literally I was losing to 76-year-olds. And I was like, I gotta figure this out. So once I started, getting into that mode, then all of a sudden I'm winning the US Open at 5-0. You know what I'm saying? So it was like
Yep.
I'm very competitive. I learned through playing because that's where I live. There's not good players. So I have to go to Jacksonville to train. But yeah, man, it was just a very humbling experience that looking back at it now, I'm glad I did it just because like all these cool things that I'm getting to do with the sport.
Yeah, it's amazing. So let's circle back to I gave you a question. If you could be the king of pickleball, what would you change if there was one thing you could change or several things?
The line calls. That's just the one thing that it gets to be 9-0, right? It gets to be 9-0 and everybody's playing hard and you feel like you hit the inside of the line, and then they call it out, and you look at the ref, and the ref is looking at the kitchen, right? So they're like literally they're looking at the kitchen, they're not looking at the other lines, and most refs are not gonna overrule they're not gonna overrule the call, right?
Yeah.
So it's just very annoying because like we're playing for thousands of dollars, man. We're in the final. It's nine
Mhm.
nine, and I'm getting into a fight with this 22-year-old because he wants to really beat me. Obviously, I want to beat him as well, but then line calls goes like that.
Yeah. What would
And
be
then
the
all,
solution? King of pickleball, how do you resolve that issue of the line calls?
You know what? I don't know, man, because like coming from tennis, tennis is very like especially the pros. They're very like on it, and
Mhm.
I don't want it to be like tennis. So I to tell you the truth, I don't know what the solution is because like when I was in India, man, it was crazy because like we're so used to calling our own balls, right? Like, in the States, that when we went over there, the guys were calling the balls for us. And we were all kind of thrown like, no, let us make the calls. So it's like I don't really know what the solution is, man, because
Yeah.
it's like you can't have it all. You can't have the guy looking at the calls in the kitchen and looking at all the lines, because as you know, depending on where you're at different spots on the ball, I might be wrong. So I'm feeling like I hit the ball in. They feeling like I hit the ball out.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know the solution, but I know that there's a lot of like people that do it on like 9-all calls. And it's people that compete. They know who they are, and they're getting away with it just because they can. So
Yeah.
it's like when you're playing. When 2 points is $1,000 swing on a match.
Right.
Dude, it's a lot of money, man. Because right now I'm playing a lot of money tournaments. So and
Yeah.
and I'm winning those, or I'm winning or losing by literally by 2 points. It's really
Mhm.
like just by those margins. So
Right.
that's the only thing that I get thrown off the cheating. But
Right.
because I mean
I
I'm
think I think the PPA Tour is looking at electronic lines. I know,
right,
like in tennis, how they have the electronic line calls, um, which is difficult because when a ball lands, it could be covering the line, but might not be touching the line. Because as you know, a pickleball doesn't compress, where a tennis ball actually does compress and touch. So it can
right.
touch the outside of the line. Where pickleball, I don't know how they're going to do it with overview like above the ball, because if it's covering the line, I believe that's supposed to be called in. But when
I
you're
think I
like,
think that's the right move.
when you're standing on the side looking to the side of the ball, it looks out. But if you stand
Right,
over it, it looks like it's touching the line. So I hear what you're saying. What about the serve? That seems to be something that irks me as far as dropping it below your waist, hitting it above your waist. All the pros are starting to skirt that a little bit. I mean, I think the one solution is we all just do a drop serve. Everyone just
right.
drops the ball and serves it. And there's going to be no worry about whether you're above your waist or below your waist. What are your thoughts?
I think that whether most of these tennis guys, they're hitting their serve pretty hard, man, and
Mhm.
it's so hard to tell because I know for a fact that when I'm pushing the limit, I'm illegal. Because I'm telling you, like I'm going for, if I'm gonna get away with it, like I just push it so much and I try to go at it so hard just because like I want to get that point. I'm pushing the limit myself. So I just feel like that's just kind of like a, let's just, if you can hit the ball, hit the ball. Like don't get too worried about, because most of these pros are getting called on sometimes, but sometimes they're not. So it's not very consistent. Like
Yeah.
I was competing in India. Like the whole week I was playing, I didn't get called, and then I got to the last match, and then one guy called me. So I was very worried that I was just gonna keep doing it and lose a point because he literally just pulled me aside and he's like, "Come here, I need to have a word with you." My partner didn't even know what he was telling me. Like I just got pulled to the side. The guy was just like, "Hey Frank, just watch your serve because you're a little bit, he said you're a little bit up, the way that you're dropping it, it's a little above your belly button. So I need you to."
Right.
And he was talking about my drop of my
Yeah, letting the
um,
ball go.
yeah, letting the ball go. And
Yeah.
it's weird because what I do is that the way that I set up is that I go straight down to below my belly button. So I'm always feeling like I always start there. So I don't know if if he felt like I was just getting too many free points. So I just feel like that thing should just go away. Like I just we need to have a skill, because like it does take a lot of skill to hit the ball hard. I remember when I first started, man, I could not hit the ball hard because I was so in competitive mode. I was so like I was shaking. Like I literally just tapped it in and get it in. But now, like as I'm getting a little more experience,
Right.
I'm going for it hard and deep, man. Like
Hmm.
I'm just pushing the limit. And I know that if I'm gonna miss 10% of my serves, because when I'm getting 4 to 6 missed returns, it's
Yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
worth it for me, man, because
Oh yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
that's half of the game.
Well,
So
that's if you think about the evolution, that I'll just use Colin Johnson. He's picked his serve up a little bit, but Colin Johns is the just get it in, and then you've got Decobar or Dong Huang, and they're just ripping
they're
that
just
ball.
ripping that ball. I mean, think about a
And
Deco bar. Deco bar, half of his serves are illegal, but
oh,
but
they're so far above his waist, I cannot believe they're not calling it. So
and that's what I'm saying. Let's just
yeah,
get rid of all that. If you have a good serve and you practice it, let him just have it.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the way that I look at it. Just because like where my serve is because I've worked at it. Am I pushing the limit sometimes? I know, because I got called in India, so I was like, maybe the other guys weren't paying as much attention, but I feel like that rule should just go away, and not make it to where sometimes you call it, sometimes you don't, because that makes it wishy washy, and I hate
yeah.
wishy washy stuff.
Yeah. So, one last thing before we wrap it up. So, we have a segment, or I'm trying to develop a segment called the Sizzle.
Okay.
Like, what's happening on the tour, whether it's personality wise, what's going on. I know there was some paddle stuff going on with Selkirk and Guangdong and him not using the paddle. There's been some romances, perking up on the tour, some romances that ended badly. What do you hear out there? Anything?
I mean, I hear a bunch of different stuffs, man. Like, oh my God. Like when I was in India, uh, yeah, I mean, but you don't know what all that is true or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like it's just I don't want to spread rumors just because like I was sitting with a conversation about this guy, and he was telling me all these things that's going behind the scenes with some of the guys, taking Adderall and things like that, and selling Adderall, and I'm sitting to myself like, dude, like these kids can really get addicted to this stuff, right? Like, obviously Adderall makes you focus, but if you're taking that stuff in a consistent basis, you can really there's gotta be some side effects about
Oh
like
yeah.
being addicted to drugs. Like he was naming me all these players that were doing it, right? And this is the guy that's like on the tour week in and week out. And he has had some like really controversial videos out there, and I'm just sitting there like
Oh.
trying to take it all in. And but apparently that's what he said, that most of these guys, top guys, are taking Adderall, and because the more focused you are, the better you're gonna play.
Oh yeah,
This
absolutely.
game is all about just being lasered in,
Hmm.
and some days I'm like on fire, and some days I'm just like when I'm like at the end of the week I was very exhausted, and I'm not gonna lie, I didn't have my best match just because my legs weren't there. So I kept over firing, so it's like
Hmm.
these guys, as the sport gets more money in the line, more you become more prestige, more sponsorship, more things are gonna be like rules. And I think that the Adderall stuff, which
Yeah.
right now is not a huge deal, because it's like you're not playing for like a Wimbledon title, right? So, I mean, if you win the tournament in Atlanta, it's nice, but like it's not like a huge life changing like a Wimbledon title would be. But once we
Right.
get to that, I feel like the tour will be more trying to get people tested for stuff
Right.
like
There'll
that.
have
Because
to
I mean,
be
I'm not sure, but I don't. Is Adderall even legal, or I don't even know.
That's a
But
good question. I don't think the drugs that are illegal are physically enhancing drugs for recovery and performance. But from a focus standpoint, and as you know, and I know, both being tennis and pickleball guys, I mean, focus is important in tennis, but in pickleball, it is imperative. that you are on the ball and focused every time, because the speed of the game just doesn't dictate you relaxing for one moment when the point's going on.
Yeah, but think
So
about it. If you got a guy that's selling all these pills, I don't think that's legal. I don't know. I might be wrong.
yeah,
I haven't looked into it, but I feel like that pill might be prescribed to different people, like for your psychological doctor. But I
yeah,
feel like if you're distributing or you're selling those drugs, I don't think that's legal. So I mean,
absolutely.
think
So
about it.
there's you've got our first sizzle. There it is.
Yeah, that's that's the word out there, man. I like I said, I don't know how legit it is.
Yes.
Because like most of these young guys, they just want attention. So, but that's what I've been hearing, and
Okay.
it was just being interested to me because like, I'm by the book, man. I don't drink. I don't, I just I'm just very like I want to get my workouts in. I want to compete with being, just being very straightforward and just not doing illegal stuff.
Excellent. Well, Frank, thank you so much for being our first guest on the pickleball
You're
podcast
welcome.
that we're
Do
doing.
you
This is
do you
awesome.
mind do you mind if we do a little bit of a plug where I'm
No,
doing a camp at the Jewish Community Center in March. So it's March
absolutely.
21st, March 21st and 22nd. So it's a Friday and a Saturday,
Hmm.
and it'll be 6 hours a day. So it'll be 4 hours of instruction. You get a lunch break. The place over there in Dunwoody is amazing, man. Like you have the indoor courts, and then you walk up some stairs, and you have like this really cool restaurant, which is
Hmm.
like a little pub. So we'll have instruction for 4 hours, working either on building weapons or the soft game, and then we'll go eat, and then all the campers will come back and play matches, and we'll videotape them, and I'll coach them for another 2 hours. So that's open for registration right now. I'm sure it's gonna get filled. But yeah, if you're interested, if you want to get your game to the next level, and you're a pickleball fanatic that that you can play 6 hours a day, we're gonna have a link to the sign up.
Yes,
And like I
it'll
said,
be on. The link will be on GoTennis. That's for
cool.
sure.
So we'll have the
Um,
link there, and like I said, we're gonna give away a paddle and for all the campers, or a video analysis, whatever you choose, or you can
right.
have both if you really want both. Like I had my camp here last month in San Simon's. Like a lot of players wanted both the paddle and the video analysis. So
Excellent.
that's another option.
Good, good. Well, Frank, I'm looking forward to doing that camp with you too, buddy.
Yes. So I'll see you
Yeah.
next month for sure.
I'll see you next month. All right, take care.
All right. Thanks, Jim.
All right, thanks.
See you.